Happy Thanksgiving, every.
Happy Thanksgiving.
We have a turkey-licious surprise for you. Um,
You could call it that, yeah.
yes. Uh, Today is November 23rd, which is 9 years since a little brick film called Lego Star Wars Battle on Kashyyyk came out, um, which spawned a whole series that has something of an interesting little cult following, you could say. Uh, that
You love that cult following.
it is by far, the biggest thing that I've like worked on, where I still get people still, you all are still out here being like, where's Sparker, what happens next? um you know these were my childhood thing. That's the thing I keep seeing all the time, which is insane. That makes me feel old. I appreciate it, but it makes me feel old. Well, we have a response to that finally, after a couple of years of silence, after like 4 years of silence almost. Scott, would you like to do the honors and share the news?
Gladly. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Sparker, and Sparker is coming back, and I could not be more excited. It's going to be my last time voicing Sparker, I think.
Yes, it is.
This is it. This is the end of the journey, and it's been a long time coming, and I'm so hyped. This is this is everything that we've been building up to for essentially a decade now, and it's just crazy to think about.
Well said. Yeah, this is there's a lot of there's a lot of context and nuance to add to what we've just said, where this will not be a Lego Star Wars brick film. You may have seen on my community tab and on my Instagram, I've talked about feature claymation film I've been working on called Into the Menstrualverse, which is the third installment in the Vicky the Vagina series. But it's also going to be this cool, crazy crossover, bringing in characters from a bunch of other stories. Previously announced Venus from Threaded is going to be in it, kind of. And like, there's going to be a whole bunch of characters that we haven't talked about yet. Um, but it's gonna be a cool multiverse story. But I think it's very Sparker's role in it is gonna be super, um, super, super satisfying. I think to people who love this character, it will be an ending, but it is the Sparker from the other films from Battle on Kashyyyk and all that. He shares that history. There are references, like Blade is name dropped a couple times. Tenelix is name dropped a couple times. It is the Sparker kind of thrown into this just weird adventure.
And that's the thing. Visually, if I may, visually, this will be a different movie compared to the other Sparker films. But here's the catch. This is a project that Emma and I are extremely passionate about. I would say you more so because this is your baby, this is what you've been working on all this time.
But you are Sparker too.
That's
But
true.
like, yeah,
That's true. So I've got a hand in it too.
yeah.
But the thing is, this wasn't originally the way that this story was going to be executed. I don't think a few years ago either of us expected this to be the way that Sparker's story ends. But the issue for all these years was we didn't really know what kind of film was going to depict the ending of his story, be it a brick film, uh, a movie like this, a claymation in this case, a play. I'm kind of just spitballing. I don't know. But we didn't know. But the thing is, we're happy that we're actually able to tell the end of his story, even if this isn't the way that we originally imagined it would be told. We imagined it would be a brick film, but nonetheless, we're just grateful that we're able to tell the end of his story, showcase the end of his journey. Because again, this is something that we've been working towards for many years, and we're just really excited that we're at this point, after a decade essentially, where we can bring some closure to Sparker, and hopefully give him some peace. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
Absolutely. And, I think that even though, like Scott said, this isn't necessarily exactly how we imagined the ending playing out, I think it's very true to the spirit of the character and also how I have always seen the ending happening. I would say for like years and years and years now, I've always had an idea of if there is ever a definitive ending to Sparker's story, this is how it needs to happen. This is the arc that he goes through, and this is like, you know, like I've had a vision for like what the last Sparker scene ever would look like. And even though there is like a talking vagina and the multiverse and everything in this movie, like the very last Sparker scene is exactly how I always imagined it. And
I was gonna chime in and say, yeah,
yeah,
everything you imagine, minus the talking body parts and the multiverse. Yeah.
yeah. But
There's
I'm
some
just saying, like the
additions.
last scene in a like specifically the very last scene in a vacuum is just, could be in the Star Wars universe,
Mhm.
you know. Um, not again, it's like it's tricky because it's like, it is Star Wars, but it isn't. Like it's like, I very much, I've sort of moved away from doing fan films. It's just not something that I really enjoy anymore. But I love Sparker. Sparker is something that, he's a character that means so much to me. So it's always been the challenge of like, how is there a way we can wrap up the story, but in a way that doesn't feel like burdensome in terms of like doing a fan film, which is something I didn't really want to do anymore.
And I think that kind of speaks to how the Kashyyyk films evolved over the years from the original trilogy, if you will, of the longer movies to the 2020 trilogy of short films. As the series went on, we started to get this smaller scope focusing more on just Sparker and not this larger battle in a galaxy far, far away. We were just honing in more on Sparker, and I think this is just the conclusion of that, where we just really get at our most personal point with Sparker. And at that point, we're just able to tell the end of his story and really bring things home for him. And I think that's what's really special about this for both of us. And we really hope that you guys enjoy uh, how we wrap it up.
Yeah, totally. I'll chime in. Yes, it is a very personal story. It's very much, wrapping up the arc that began in Battle of Kashyyyk, but also he will fight people in this. There is action. I think, criticism
There's
I saw,
conflict, there's
there is
despair.
conflict. There is like, it's not like it's just going to be him sitting and talking about his feelings, but that's, a big part of it for sure. So it'll feel like, kind of bringing all aspects of the character home together for one last time. um Please don't ask me after this if there's going to be, because there isn't. It took me 4 years to get to the point where I'm like, okay, let's do
Yeah,
them.
come over to my channel and ask me for more Ninjago. We'll switch things up a little bit.
Exactly. Okay.
All right,
um
guys.
well, yes, get hyped.
I think they're
Follow
already
Into the
hyped.
Menstrualverse on Instagram for updates, and we'll see you soon. Film coming in 2024 or maybe 2025. It's a feature, it's long, we'll see.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.